Last week on July 5th, I wrote in my journal that I was having the best summer of my life. I was doing activities with my friends like volleyball, getting YouTube videos out, having cookouts on the beach for July 3rd, and then celebrating July 4th with my friends, and watch parties for the World Cup. Overall, I was just having a really good time despite how busy my life has been. And then on the 12th, a few days ago, France lost to Spain 2-0. And quite honestly, my heart was shattered. Suddenly, everything the weeks before didn't seem to matter because the team I cared about, France, because I'm half French, was, confident in winning the World Cup and was now knocked out. And now everything felt like it had just gotten flipped on its head. Whether it's our favorite sports team losing, getting laid off from our job, or losing a family member or a loved one, each of these hits at the same thing, which is that in a sudden moment, everything flips 180 degrees. Everything flips on its own head. It's tough because all of a sudden, now that this event has happened, you're stuck in this mood because what has happened to you is painful and you don't know whether, you know, you'll be able to get that joy back. You don't know if you're ever going to get out of this rut, this tunnel that you're suddenly stuck in. And that's the feeling of loss. If you've ever been excited about something or had someone in your life you cared about, once that thing that you were excited about or this person that you cared about is gone, there's this hole that opens in your heart. And yes, I recognize that, my sports team losing is not nearly as tragic and traumatic as losing a loved one. But I want to make it clear that the sense of feeling you get is like the same kind of feeling. That feeling of, okay, well, shit, what do I do now? It's funny how this feeling plays out because in the moment, it literally feels like you don't know what to do next. Like, you don't know how life is going to continue. And this doesn't necessarily mean that, like, you're suicidal, but it does, at least for myself, make me feel like, how am I ever going to be the same again? And it might sound kind of ironic, but the answer is that you won't be the same. You will be different going forward. But that's actually okay, since that's where the opportunity to endure and grow from a challenge of this nature presents itself. The reality is that life continues. It doesn't stop or change its pace for anyone. It moves at a steady march, and you either march with it or get left in the mud. And sometimes it's okay to find yourself in the mud. There's moments where we don't have the strength to completely get out of that muck, but it's in those moments where you don't have the strength to get out that we need to bide our time and build it up slowly. Slowly build that strength back up so that we can get out of the mud and back to marching alongside life. The reason why these painful events hurt so much is because, in a sense, a piece of our identity is being shattered for a moment. Let's take myself for example, right? I'm half French, and France is known for having a really good football team. I mean, they've made it to 3 semifinals back to back to back. You can't be middle of the pack in order to accomplish that. But then to go out in the semifinals 2-0 is just an extremely hard pill to swallow, especially with the way that they were playing the game and how Spain was playing against them. Because quite honestly, Spain completely outclassed them with their play style, which means that France wasn't the big dog that I and the rest of France's fans thought they were going into this tournament, even though they made it to the Final Four, which is still a really impressive feat. It's just a really hard pill to swallow because their team is extremely good. And I've loved watching France play at Euros and World Cup since I was like 15. I'm also extremely proud of that half of me. So to see my motherland not doing so well, it's like, it sucks when the fatherland isn't doing so well either, which is America. And to be honest, this was like really upsetting for me to the point where I was in a funk the rest of the day. I was watching the game with a friend, and the rest of the day, well, after the game, we watched it at a bar in town where I work after I got out. And after the game was over, we were walking around for 2 hours straight in the sweltering heat. And I just couldn't wrap my head around what had happened. I just felt like I had been punched in the face and the gut. And it really sucked. It bothered me so much that when I got into work the next day, my coworker asked me what was wrong, like, why are you in a mood right now? And when I told him that it was because my favorite soccer team had lost, he just like didn't believe me until he realized I wasn't getting out of my mood. He realized that this mood was here to stay. And he was extremely concerned, honestly, for a little bit because he had never seen me like that. I'm usually a really upbeat, outgoing kind of person. So for him to see me just, you know, depressed or like disassociating at work that morning, he was very shocked. However, there's an antidote to this kind of feeling of loss that we deal with, and it's not what you might expect. It's starting new. What I mean by that is it's taking our focus away from the loss and channeling towards the parts of our life that we get like a lot of joy out of, and also new opportunities. And it's funny how Wednesday, the following day, went. Yes, I was in this mood for the whole morning. I was like really upset. But around 9 o'clock, this kid came around who was the son of one of my coworkers. Let's call him Jack. So Jack was introduced to me as the son of one of the coworkers in the building I was currently at, and basically Jack was interning with us for the summer. We need some extra hands in my department over the summer to get our work done, and so one of our colleagues in a different department let his son know that there was an internship opportunity. He's currently young and he's in school. He's in university right now. So it was a perfect opportunity for him to get some hands-on experience in IT because he's learning about tech. What ended up happening was I ended up taking the lead on showing this kid what was going on and the kind of work that we had to get done and teaching him new things. And it was a really good day, honestly. I was having a really good time getting to know him, talking to him about some of the things I'm into, explaining the work that I was doing, answering his questions. Overall, even though I went into the start of the day thinking I was going to have a bad day because I was so upset about France losing, it ended up being a really good day that by the end of it, I was no longer in the funk that I was in at the start of the day, which goes to show that France losing was actually not as big of a deal as I had made it out to be in my own mind. But I had to focus on something else in my life in order for me to actually recognize that. What's funny is that after the workday ended, I went to the gym and I was watching the Argentina-England match, and I was really hoping for England to win. And in fact, they were up 1-0 in the second half, and I was super ecstatic. But then, of course, in the last 15-20 minutes of the match, Argentina somehow, some way, managed to find not just one, but 2 goals to reverse sweep England. And I was then kind of bummed about how the result of that game went. because now I'm not getting my France-Argentina rematch like I was really hoping for. However, the story doesn't end there, because even though I was bummed about that, I had a bigger problem to worry about, which was my health. As I'm recording this, I just got back from a doctor's appointment that I had been anticipating for a couple of months now and was really nervous about. I'm not going to go into the kind of health issue I was experiencing, but I was really concerned that it was going to become a serious issue and that I was going to find that out at this appointment and that some more extreme options were going to have to be taken. However, I'm really grateful and pleased to say that during the visit, the doctor was actually very funny, and he reassured me, and he let me know that the issue that I'm dealing with is actually not that big of a deal, and I'm going to be totally fine. I'm going to have to take some medication for a short period, but after that, I'm going to be all set. And so, once again, even though I was really bummed out about England Argentina losing, I'm now kind of over it because I'm finding out, oh, this health issue that I thought was actually going to be really bad is not bad at all. It's actually very solvable, which is a huge relief. I recognize that talking about soccer, football, whatever you want to call it, is not the best example to articulate this. So I'll give another one that hits more close to home, which is that I got dumped at the start of this year in very early January by a girl who I had only been seeing for like 2 months, but I was really into her, and I got more emotionally invested into it than I thought I had let myself, and I honestly was really heartbroken over getting dumped. Now, most guys, I think, when they get dumped by someone that they're really into, would lay in bed, be going through photos, stalking this person's social media, the other person's social media, just letting themselves like stay in that depressive state, that rut, that holding on to what I thought my identity was kind of state. But for myself, I knew that wasn't a place I wanted to stay in, and could not stay in. And rather than focusing on what I thought was my identity, I refocused on what actually is my identity. And that meant I continued to snowboard through the rest of the season because I'm a snowboarder. I was going to mountains. I was going on trips with my friends up north towards like Vermont, New Hampshire area to go on some big mountains over there, which was super fun. I was also taking time to play video games, learn new things. Like I was working on a certification for IT. Just taking the time to focus on what actually is my identity, not what I had lost. And so that's the antidote to when life flips 180 on us so quickly and we lose something or someone that we care about. It's to refocus on what we do have in our lives. That's what we ought to be doing. We ought to refocus our attention on the things that do make us feel happy and give us joy, and the people that are there for us in our lives and we care about. It's, in a sense, refocusing on what truly matters, even when that feels like the hard thing to do, even when it feels like it's not possible. Obviously, in the case of a soccer match, it's just a game. But in the case of getting dumped like that, and don't get me wrong, it was a very short relationship, but I think this advice could help anyone else who's listening to this that might be dealing with a heartbreak, not from like a 2 month relationship, but a 6 month or a year or 5 or 10 year relationship. It's about refocusing on the parts of our identity that still exist and discovering new parts of ourselves that we didn't know existed before, such as trying out new activities, like volleyball in my case. I really hope that this was helpful for someone or anyone who's watching this. If you liked the video, please click the like button, and if you want to listen to more of this, please subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate it. Otherwise, I hope you're having a good week and you have a good rest of your weekend. Peace, and until next time.